I never imagined he had it in him. I awoke to the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore, a sound I had come to cherish in the years since we moved into this cozy beach house in Santa Monica. The briny morning breeze wafted through the slightly ajar window, bringing with it echoes of memories I believed I had laid to rest. Reflections on Daniel. He had vanished, a mere memory for years. Yet, at times, the sound of the ocean or a passing scent in the breeze would pull him back in an instant. Daniel and I had shared nearly a decade together before he departed for Europe. At that time, Leo, our son, was just 6 years old. The pain was acute and persistent, akin to a shard of glass embedded too deeply to extract. However, as time passed, I discovered how to navigate it with ease. Life had to progress, and Leo and I created something enduring, something that belonged to us, from the fragments Daniel had left in his wake. I stretched, the early sunlight spilling into my room, illuminating the flaws on the walls and the sand that was endlessly tracked inside. This dwelling may not have met the lofty expectations of Santa Monica, yet it held the essence of home. More significantly, it was the place where Leo and I had evolved into something beyond merely mother and son. We formed a cohesive unit. At the age of 23, Leo was deeply passionate about photography. That camera of his had transformed into an extension of his hand, a device he wielded to weave narratives through light and shadow. He always claimed it was his method of halting time, seizing feelings that language couldn't convey. I appreciated his imaginative spirit. Yet I occasionally found myself concerned about his inclination to dwell more in his perspective than in the present. Just as I was about to pour my first cup of tea, Leo appeared in the doorway. Camera draped nonchalantly around his neck, his excitement was contagious. Even before the coffee kicked in, "Mom," he exclaimed, his hazel eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. The light outside at this moment. Flawless. Join me at the beach. I must seize it. I paused, looking at the steaming mug cradled in my hand. Leo, it's just the crack of dawn. Can't your imaginative brilliance hold off until I've enjoyed a cup of tea? He smiled broadly. Negative. Inspiration is not something that lingers, it comes and goes swiftly. I would truly appreciate it if you could accompany me, please. How can I refuse? Setting the mug down on the counter, I slipped on a cardigan and stepped out after him. The morning air felt invigorating, while the sand was pleasantly cool beneath my feet. Leo strolled a few steps forward, his camera already capturing images as he surveyed the horizon for the ideal shot. You know, you might consider savoring the scenery without the camera, I playfully suggested. He chuckled. This is how I find pleasure in it, Mom. Moreover, it is essential for someone to capture and safeguard these moments. We strolled in comfortable silence for a. As we gazed out, the ocean stretched endlessly before us. Leo paused from time to time, crouching or shifting his position to seize the dance of light and water. Observing him in action resembled witnessing an artist wielding a brush, concentrated, deliberate, and utterly in his zone. Eventually, he glanced my way, his demeanor gentle. Lately, I've found myself reflecting on Dad. The reference to Daniel came unexpectedly, yet it was received with warmth. Oh, I inquired. My voice is careful. Indeed, not in a negative sense. Just reflecting on moments, like how he would sing when he believed no one was listening. One was attentive. Or the manner in which he'd feign disdain for your cooking yet always polished off his plate. I smiled, even as the nostalgia lingered with a bittersweet edge. He experienced his share of highlights. Leo tightened his camera strap, his eyes unwavering. You've accomplished so much for me. Than he ever could have. I trust you are aware of that. His words struck me with more intensity than I anticipated. Thank you, Leo. That holds significant value. Before I could express anything further, he leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss on my cheek. His warmth anchoring me in that instant. I truly mean it, he murmured gently. Hey, he said, raising his camera, stepping into the frame for a moment. I chuckled. Oh no, I prefer to avoid pictures. Come on, he urged. It's solely for my own enjoyment. No one else will witness it, I assure you. With a sense of hesitation, I entered the frame. Initially, I experienced a sense of discomfort. uncertain about my posture or the appropriate place to position myself. Gaze, however, Leo's support, warm and sincere, made me feel comfortable. For a moment, it transcended the camera and the picture. It was only the two of us, mother and son, enveloped in the warm glow of a fresh dawn. Leo's enthusiasm was unmistakable as we journeyed along the shoreline, bathed in the early sun, radiates a warm, golden glow across everything. The waves lapped softly at the shore, a gentle symphony of water mingling with the distant calls of seagulls. I tracked his movements as he flitted from one location to the next, his camera at the ready, prepared to seize the beauty he observed in the dance of light and shadow. He was in his zone, entirely immersed in his craft. From time to time, he would stop to scrutinize the beach or the horizon, fine-tuning his lens with accuracy. It amazed me to see how much he had developed, not only in age, but also in self-assurance. Seeing him brought back memories of Daniel. The idea emerged spontaneously, propelled by the cadence of the waves and the aroma of salt lingering in the atmosphere. Recollections of Daniel appeared as vivid snapshots in my mind, fragmented yet striking. I recalled how he once cherished mornings like this, standing by the shore with a contemplative look, as if attempting to unravel a mystery concealed within the ocean. Those days seemed far away now, like a tale from a different existence. As Leo continued his work, I pondered the significant changes in our lives since Daniel departed. There was no bitterness anymore, only a calm embrace of the existence Leo and I had created together. It may not have been flawless, but it belonged to us. At one moment, Leo directed his camera in my direction. A surge of uncertainty washed over me as I stood there, grappling with how to portray myself. Yet, there was an undeniable comfort in his approach, a subtle assurance that eased my own insecurities. The lens served not as an intruder, but as a bridge. He glided with a grace that I couldn't help but appreciate, offering subtle hints that I naturally embraced. The morning sun enveloped my skin in a gentle warmth, the cool sand cradled my feet, and a soft breeze danced through my hair. It wasn't merely a photograph he was capturing. It was a moment he wished to maintain. Once he completed his task, we strolled back to the house side by side. The morning air felt more buoyant, with the sun ascending steadily in the sky. The sand clung to my feet as we departed the shore, a reminder of the ephemeral, grounding bond with the earth within. The aroma of the tea I had abandoned lingered in the air of the house. Leo's camera sat on the kitchen counter, a quiet reminder of his morning's efforts. There existed a silent appreciation between us, a mutual recognition that instances like these were what genuinely held significance. It wasn't merely the photographs or the morning light, it was the connection we had. Through all the trials life presented, we managed to cling to one another, and I discovered a serene sense of pride, aware that we had crafted something beautiful together, one moment at a time. The remainder of the morning unfolded in serene stillness. I occupied my time with various tasks around the house, while Leo examined the photos he had captured. His concentration was steadfast, the laptop aglow and the camera connected, as he navigated through the images with a fervor that commanded respect. It was not uncommon for him to dive deep into this process, analyzing each frame meticulously. Yet today, there was an unmistakable shift in his demeanor, an added depth of intention. He frequently took a moment, examining specific shots with greater intensity than normal. I made an effort to respect boundaries, yet my curiosity proved too strong to resist. From my vantage point, I caught sight of the snapshots he had captured. The photographs portrayed the beach in its morning splendor, showcasing the gentle waves, the warm tones of the sand, and the dance of light and shadow. And then there were the portraits of me. At first, it was unsettling to see myself on his screen. I hardly recognized the woman in those pictures. She appeared completely relaxed, fully immersed in the here and now. It was a side of myself I hadn't encountered in years, concealed under the weight of routine and obligation. Leo must have sensed my presence, as he abruptly proposed a fresh idea. He wished to capture more portraits of me, but this time in the comfort of home. I paused, uncertain if I wished to be the focal point of his imaginative perspective, yet, his resolve was difficult to ignore. And there was an undeniable quality in the way he articulated his craft, how it was centered around the art of narrative, focused on perceiving individuals in their authentic essence, that sparked my intrigue. He started arranging his temporary studio in the living room, fine-tuning the lighting and shifting furniture to establish the ideal backdrop. I observed him as he worked, each movement deliberate and careful. And I found myself pondering how I had nurtured someone so gifted and motivated. Once everything was prepared, he motioned for me to take a seat. Initially, I experienced a sense of discomfort and vulnerability. Being on this side of the lens was quite a challenge, particularly with my son behind the camera, yet Leo possessed a unique ability to soothe my nerves, his gentle support gradually allowing me to unwind. He fine-tuned the angles, optimized the lighting, and even proposed subtle movements. A slight inclination of the head here, a gentler expression there. I allowed myself to embrace his direction, making an effort to avoid overanalyzing. As the session progressed, I began to feel less like an object of study, and more like my true self. A peculiar strength resided in the act of release, in permitting another to witness your entirety. The camera was more than merely focused on my face. It was a reflection of the years filled with love, struggle, and growth that had molded me into the person I had become. When Leo finally set the camera aside, he regarded me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. It was more than mere pride. It was an experience that resonated profoundly. Something that allowed me to feel genuinely acknowledged. I haven't requested to view the photos just yet. I wasn't prepared, yet in that instant, it didn't matter. For the first time in years, I felt as though I was uncovering aspects of myself that I believed were gone forever. And it wasn't merely through the lens of Leo's camera. It was in the depths of his gaze, the faith he had in me, and the serene, unvoiced affection that bound us together. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, bathing the room in a gentle golden glow. It was my birthday. Yet I hadn't brought it up with anyone. As time passed, birthdays transformed into more subdued occasions, little recognitions, a warm cup of tea, a pause for contemplation. Yet, this year had an unmistakable quality about it. Even prior to my first steps out of bed, the scent of freshly brewed coffee drifted into my room, accompanied by the soft clinking of dishes. A smile crept across my face, aware that Leo was the mastermind behind it all. Sure enough, moments later, he emerged in the doorway, balancing a tray with effortless grace. It was a straightforward yet considerate breakfast, featuring toast, fruit, and my beloved tea. Beside the plate lay a small, meticulously wrapped box. "Happy birthday, Mom," he said, his voice rich with warmth and love. I leaned against the pillows, feeling a mix of surprise and warmth. As I unwrapped the box, my hands lingered on the delicate document, relishing the experience. Inside was a collection of delicate, refined garments, a gentle blouse, a pair of fitted trousers, and a coordinating scarf in soft hues of muted blue. Underneath lay a smaller box, which I opened to discover a stunning collection of undergarments, both simple and luxurious. For a brief instant, I found myself without the right words to express my thoughts. The consideration behind the gift, how every piece appeared to be selected with such attention, stirred an emotion within me. I leaned in and pressed my lips to Leo's cheek, my appreciation flowing through the simple act. "These are exquisite," I murmured, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Leo beamed, his eyes sparkling with delight at my response. "I had a feeling you would appreciate something unique for today. So, I was hoping you might allow me to capture some images of you in the new scarf, and perhaps the hat I gifted you last week." I chuckled gently, still moved by his generosity. "Absolutely, Leo, how could I possibly refuse after all of this?" After breakfast, I leisurely prepared myself, enjoying the sensation of the new clothes against my skin. The blouse draped beautifully, its fabric soft and airy against my skin. The trousers embraced me snugly, while the scarf unified the look, its gentle texture caressing my neck. Upon entering the living room, I found that Leo had already arranged his studio. He had meticulously cleared the space and fine-tuned the lighting to absolute perfection, just as he always did. The wide-brimmed hat he had insisted on buying for me during a recent outing rested on the arm of the couch. Leo motioned to the chair he had positioned in the middle of the room. "Just remain seated for the moment," he instructed, his voice soft yet intent. I took off my cardigan, letting it hang over the back of the couch as I settled into the chair. The pose initially felt rigid, my hands awkwardly placed on my lap, but Leo's gentle encouragement quickly prompted me to shift. Crossing one leg over the other and tilting my head slightly to the side, he offered me the hat, and I set it upon my head with care, sensing its brim create a whimsical shadow across my visage. Leo moved around me with his camera, documenting each angle, each subtle detail. His instructions were gentle and subtle, leading me into positions that felt both effortless and poised. I leaned slightly forward at one point, my elbow resting on my knee, the scarf cascading over my shoulder. Then, at his suggestion, I turned to look over my shoulder. The sunlight catching the subtle gleam of the fabric, there was a certain closeness to the experience, not merely in the act of being captured on camera, but in the way Leo perceived me. Through his lens, I experienced a profound sense of vulnerability intertwined with empowerment, as if each click of the shutter revealed a hidden layer of doubt I hadn't been aware of. As he finally lowered the camera, a subtle satisfaction flickered across his face. "These could be among my finest yet," he murmured, more to himself than to me. I lingered in the chair for a moment longer, allowing the warmth of the morning and the significance of the moment to envelop me. The fresh attire, the soft kiss, the meticulous attention Leo had devoted to every detail, it all enveloped me in a sense of celebration I had not anticipated. This birthday transcended the mere act of counting another year. It was about being recognized, cherished, and valued for precisely who I am. In that moment, I discovered a serene happiness that remained long after the photo shoot had concluded. Later that afternoon, I felt an irresistible pull towards the living room. Leo sat in front of his laptop, his back slightly hunched as he examined the photos. The gentle light of the screen cast a warm hue on his concentrated face, and the steady clicking of the mouse filled the air as he meticulously navigated through the images. A sense of wonder pulled at me. I was curious to discover what he had captured, how he had perceived me through his lens. I moved in silently and placed a hand on the back of his chair. Leaning in to look over his shoulder, "Allow me to take a look," I said, my tone airy yet firm. Leo stiffened slightly, his hand hovering over the trackpad. "Mom, it's still a work in progress. I still need to edit some of these," he replied, a hint of anxiety in his voice. I smiled, feeling his uncertainty yet resolute in my stance. "I have no issue with viewing the unedited versions. Let's see what you've got, Leo." He glanced my way, his face a mix of awkwardness and hesitation. "They simply haven't reached perfection yet." I was exploring different angles and lighting techniques. "Some of them may appear a bit clumsy." I gently rested my hand on his shoulder, offering comfort. "Leo, I assure you that I will remain open-minded. I simply wish to witness how you have portrayed me kindly." He let out a sigh, clearly feeling outmatched, and nudged the laptop slightly in my direction. "All right, but don't say I didn't give you a heads up." As he started to click through the photos, a flutter of anticipation stirred within me. The images unfolded on the screen, each one revealing itself in succession, leaving me utterly astonished. The woman in those photographs, myself, appeared absolutely radiant. Every image conveyed a unique narrative. I sat poised with a hat tilted just right, the scarf cascading over my shoulder. There was a natural ease, an open smile, the angle of my head, the glimmer in my eyes. Leo had a remarkable talent for capturing the subtleties of expression, the interplay of light on skin, and the intricate textures of fabric. As he continued to scroll, I stumbled upon something surprising. Unbeknownst to me, there were candid shots of me practicing yoga in the backyard. I recalled that morning vividly, the gentle extension of my body in the soft morning light, a profound sense of tranquility enveloping me as I flowed through each pose. I was entirely oblivious to the camera lurking nearby. Initially, I was taken aback. "Leo, when did you capture these?" He rubbed the back of his neck, deliberately steering clear of my gaze. A while ago. You appeared so composed and resilient. I found it captivating, yet I hesitated to intrude, so I merely. It was captured. My initial surprise transformed into something deeper. A sense of pride. A comforting warmth, and a profound gratitude for the way he perceived me. Those images were candid. Raw and utterly authentic. I appeared powerful, elegant, and vibrant in a manner I had yet to recognize prior. I looked at Leo, struggling to contain the emotion in my voice. These are truly remarkable, Leo, indeed. You've uncovered a part of me I wasn't even aware existed. His cheeks flushed slightly, and he stammered something about it merely being practice, yet I refused to let him off the hook. As I leaned down, I pressed my lips to his cheek, allowing the simple act to express the gratitude that eluded my tongue. You're incredible, I whispered, truly believing in every syllable. Thank you for this, for revealing to me a perspective of. I had nearly overlooked that. Leo finally turned his gaze toward me, a bashful yet sincere smile blossoming on his face. I simply wanted you to understand my perspective, Mom, that is all. We lingered together a bit longer, browsing through the gallery, chuckling at some of the imperfect shots and admiring the instances he had successfully captured. It was more than merely a collection of photographs. It served as a reminder of my identity. Not solely as a mother but as a woman with her own beauty, strength, and narrative. As dusk enveloped the home, I sat in solitude within my room. The gentle murmur of ocean waves flowing in through the open window. The laptop lay on my bed, its screen still displaying the gallery of photos captured by Leo. I was unable to resist. Yet, I find myself returning to them, each image pulling me further into the individual I had neglected for such an extended period. There I stood, enveloped in a warm golden glow, my gaze exuding a serene assurance. The scarf gracefully rested on my shoulder, exuding elegance, while the hat was tilted just so, introducing a hint of playfulness. Then there were the candid shots. My body flowing gracefully through yoga poses, my expression calm, oblivious to the camera. Those photos revealed not only my appearance but also how Leo perceived me. Powerful, elegant, stunning. For years, I had hidden those aspects of myself beneath layers of motherhood, routine, and practicality. Leo's work had surfaced within me, as if to remind me that I remained all those things and even more. Eventually, I made my way to the living room to join Leo. He opened his camera bag, meticulously arranging his equipment. Seeing him so dedicated and full of passion filled me with pride. I settled into a chair opposite him, observing his focused efforts illuminated by the soft warmth of the room. I found myself pondering the journey we've taken, just the two of us. Since the day Daniel departed, I dedicated every part of myself to nurturing Leo, making certain he was enveloped in love and creativity as he grew. And now here he stood, a man with his own vision and talent, revealing aspects of myself I had long overlooked. I inquired with Leo regarding his forthcoming exhibition, eager to learn about the narratives he intended to convey through his photographs. He conveyed a subdued fervor, articulating his desire for his creations to encapsulate more than mere visages or locations. He aimed for it to evoke feeling, intimacy, and the elegance found in the ordinary. His words lingered in my mind long after our conversation concluded. That evening, as I got ready for sleep, I took one of the printed photographs he had framed for me. It was an honest capture from the yoga series, my silhouette framed by the morning light. I set it on my nightstand, allowing it to be the final sight before I extinguished the light. For the first time in years, I felt more than just a mother or a woman reflecting on her life. I sensed that I was a person with additional chapters yet to compose, with more tales poised to emerge. As I drifted off to sleep, I found my mind wandering to the future, not with hesitation, but with a serene sense of anticipation. No matter what unfolded, I was certain of one thing. I was prepared to welcome it, taking it one moment at a time.